Hey boys, welcome back to the channel where we're going to be going through some NRL Supercoach preseason discussions here, and we're going to go through position by position, and we're going to start out with the fullbacks. It is one of the most important positions, but at the same time, it's also one of the more boring positions when we really look at it. Like, you can obviously take a couple of punts on your sort of backup fullback, and at times, like during, especially with more buys and stuff, maybe you could look at going for someone a bit more out of the box. But the fullback options are, there's usually the top 3 or 4, and obviously with injuries to quite a few of the fullbacks, especially the top line fullbacks, it's definitely a bit of a smaller pool, I would say, for your standouts. But we'll go through, see if there's any other standouts, because I haven't really looked at the prices. And again, all the prices are inflated, just with the increase in the cap and everybody just going up percentage wise. So everybody's really expensive. But we're starting out with the man, Ryan Papenhausen, at 950k. Now, obviously, that's a bit ambitious. I don't think, I don't know how it's progressing. Obviously, he's in America trying to get the knee issue sorted, but it doesn't seem great that he'll even be ready for the start of the season. Even if he did play round 1, I don't think I could justify going Ryan Papenhausen. But Ryan Papenhausen, I can't speak the Savi, but old Pappy does provide. He provides a lot of benefit elsewhere, right? Because if Papenhausen plays, if he's actually selected for round 1, then I would be very, very tempted to spend the extra money to go Harry Grant as my number 1 dummy half, which at the moment I'm not going to go Harry Grant. But if Papenhausen somehow miraculously plays round 1, then I gotta be honest, I would do everything I can to bring Harry Grant into that dummy half spot, just because it's just another attacking weapon, and Harry Grant and Papenhausen around the ruck, that's a pretty lethal combo. You just need Harry Grant to get half a break. Papenhausen's there. Shut the gate. It's easy points for Harry Grant, and just the rest of the Storm players in general. Like, there's just more attacking upside. The other player this affects hugely is Cameron Munster. Now, if Papenhausen doesn't play, if he's not named round 1, and hopefully they give us like a good little estimate, like, maybe he's back like round 5, round 6. Does that mean Cameron Munster goes to fullback? You would think so. I'm trying to think. I mean, they obviously have Nick Meaney, who, he can fill the spot, but then they have to fill the 5'8" spot. It's a little bit of a tricky one for them, but I wouldn't be shocked if Cameron Munster does start at fullback. Now, if Cameron Munster is playing fullback, and he probably won't be goal kicking because of Nick Meaney, but I was thinking he might. But no, he's not. He's not better than Nick Meaney. But if Cameron Munster plays fullback instead of Papenhausen, if Papenhausen's confirmed to be out for a while, then again I'm going to be very tempted to bring in Munster as my 5'8" instead of a Burton. So Papenhausen isn't on my radar at all to start the season, but his either inclusion or non-inclusion is going to change up my team drastically. So keep an eye out for Papenhausen news to see how he's tracking. But hopefully, I just hope he can get back and he doesn't lose much from the injury. I just hope he can get back to full fitness, because it's a fucking nasty injury. The kneecap, like multiple fractures and whatnot, is a bad one. But hopefully he can get back at some time this year and regain that form. The next guy off the poll here, Latrell Mitchell at a whopping almost 900,000, who was sensational last year. I feel like, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he started the year a bit slowly. Like, he still mixed in some big scores, but he definitely wasn't as consistent. And then probably like halfway through the year, maybe even a bit earlier than that, he just went on a run. Like, he was just scoring for days. It was helped by the fact that I feel like they've somewhat changed the way try assists are working now. Like, a lot of times, I felt like previously Cody Walker would have jagged a lot of the try assists last year in previous years, but last year Latrell Mitchell was getting all of those try assists. Like, Cody Walker would basically set it up, pass it out the back, and Mitchell would just sort of bat it on, or just an easy 2-on-1, and he would get the points. So if they're keeping that structure, Latrell Mitchell is just he's so juicy, because he doesn't have the work rate, which is obviously the slight concern, but you just know, like, Cody Walker can go in and out of games, and he's a hothead and whatever else, but you just know there's going to be points on offer. He's just got great hands. He just works so well out the back with Mitchell, and if they're giving the try assist to Mitchell, who's just sweeping around, I mean, he's always going to be in the contest. He's kicking goals beautifully. So Mitchell is high on the list of fullback prospects. The next guy, Tedesco, I think I'm not going to say he's a must-have, because, like, I could definitely argue going Mitchell over Tedesco. Now, I might try if things don't pan out, then I might try to get Mitchell and Tedesco, which is, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. If I'm going to go 2 gun halves as well, it could be a bit of a tight squeeze. But Tedesco, you just know, like, he's just so safe. And I do predict that the Roosters are going to win the premiership this year. And regardless of if they do or not, like, they are going to be an attacking team. There should be plenty of points on offer. Tedesco is always sniffing around. What's his name? Brandon Smith is at the club. He loves a dummy half run. Tedesco, Brandon Smith is going to open up Tedesco so nicely, because it's either going to be Brandon Smith getting out and either getting a line break and Tedesco just being there for the pass, or Brandon Smith will get a quick play the ball, and you know Teddy loves to get into dummy half when there's a quick play the ball off the back of Brandon Smith, and he's going to be off, and I can see some good stuff happening with Tedesco and Smith. I mean, very similar to Papenhausen and Grant. It's going to be a very similar combination, I would say, getting teams just absolutely torn up around the ruck. So Tedesco, he's in my team. He's not going to leave. Like, that's one of my lock fullbacks there. Obviously Origin and whatnot, he's going to miss some games, but you just don't worry about that. Tedesco's just so versatile. Well, not versatile, but he's just so tough nowadays. Like, he had the injuries, like, and that's what I'm hoping for, like, you know, Trbojevic, Papenhausen, even Ponga. You know, Tedesco went through it as well. Multiple knee injuries, and could not find any consistent seasons back to back. But I don't know what changed, but he was able to just become a bit of an Iron Man at the back. So hopefully the rest of the guys can overcome it. I think the Turbo one's a little bit trickier, because obviously it's a muscle injury, not a tear of a ligament, which is unfortunate. But a muscle is like, there's only so much you can do with genetics and stuff. But Tedesco, he's a lock. I'm not saying you have to get him, but if you want a safe fullback that you can almost captain every week, it's nice. Because even Mitchell, I'd always be somewhat hesitant to captain Mitchell, because if the Rabbitohs don't play well, Mitchell doesn't go looking for the footy much, and he can have the odd low game. So that's the only probably benefit to Tedesco over Mitchell, is that he's just safer, I guess. Scotty Drinkwater at 746. Now, I wouldn't touch Drinkwater. It's disappointing he's lost his 5'8" and fullback duel, which would have been nice. I probably wouldn't have picked him up 5'8" either, but it was very nice having Drinkwater as a potential dual position there. Cowboys, excellent last year on the back of Drinkwater's attack. Tommy Dearden straightening it up, and the strike out wide. It it was working a real treat, and Drinkwater was the beneficiary of a lot of attacking upside. I just don't. The Cowboys have a really good draw again this year, which is nice. It feels like the same as last year. All the teams that had a good draw last year, like the Sharks, the Cowboys, who else? I don't know. There's a couple others, but they have the same this year, which I'm happy the Cowboys do because, I'm a Cowboys fan as well. But so I can see Drinkwater doing well. Like they do have a very nice draw, but I don't know. For whatever reason, I just haven't really been huge on Drinkwater. Even last year, like there were plenty of times where I could have brought Drinkwater into the team, and I don't know. I was always put off by his low scores, but he was consistent. I feel like he's going to come back a little bit this year because it was a career high year for him, like massively. So yeah, Drinkwater, not huge on. Ruben Garrick at almost 750. Now, this is another very interesting one, similar to the Papenhausen discussion, that his not so well. It is him, but there's other factors at play here, and that's Turbo. So, if Turbo misses, and this is why I'm not going Garrick at the start of the year, but he is centre wing fullback dual, which is nice, and I'm glad they didn't get rid of that because, he is a winger predominantly. But the Turbo is a big factor in both ways because I don't know what's better. Because if Turbo does, I don't know, if he gets back and then all of a sudden he has another serious injury, Ruben Garrick will obviously go back to fullback. Goal-kicking fullback in your centre wing, that's beautiful. And I expect him to lose money on 740k. Unless the Seagulls get off to a flyer, which they could do. The Seagulls definitely could get off to a flyer. A lot of people are tipping them for like... I'm actually shocked people are tipping the Seagulls so low. I'm a little stunned at that. But Garrick, if Turbo's out, he plays fullback, which makes him a really nice option in your centre wing. Hopefully he's lost a bit of money. It'd be a beautiful pickup. But the other flip side there is if Turbo is playing, then the Seagulls are going to have more points and Garrick is going to have more goal kicks, potentially more tries. So I don't know what's better, but honestly, Garrick is a guy that I'm not going to start, but I'm definitely... I'd hope to bring in. I'd hope to bring in my centre wing around, just a rough estimate, a bit before the Origin period. He's not going to play Origin. I don't know the buys yet, but hopefully he covers a couple of them and he'd be a very nice target in your centre wing. Hopefully a couple of our cheapies do well and we can upgrade to a Garrick who has lost a bit of money. That's a bit of a dream scenario there. Next, I'm not going to talk too much about Clint Gutherson, Dylan Edwards. Both, they're solid pickups, but there's just better options. Brimson is a very interesting one. He's got the fullback 5'8". Now, if I was getting Brimson, I would look to get him at 5'8", because, anytime you can get a starting fullback in another position, like centre wing or 5'8" predominantly, it's better to go the secondary position because there's other very, very good fullbacks that you could try to target as well. He is expensive, 670k. He finished the year off pretty strongly, but if he is playing fullback like they think, it's just the one thing that puts me off because I'm still very unsure about the Tanner Boyd at halfback. I know a lot of people are going Tanner Boyd as their backup dummy half or even halfback. It would be nice, but I just don't trust Tanner Boyd to be good enough to not get dropped after a month, really. Because they have the play, like Brimson just goes back into the halves, Campbell just goes straight back to fullback, and Tanner Boyd is just nothing then. So it's a bit tricky. And at least if Brimson, I would rather Brimson a fullback for sure for Supercoach, but even if he goes back to 5'8", like he would still score well. I guess the other conundrum is that, well, maybe Brimson doesn't go flash hot at fullback. Campbell regains the fullback and they might be like, Brimson off the bench could work well. that could be a real kick in the gut. So I don't think I have the confidence to go Brimson, but man, he would be nice as a 5'8" option because he is he's very good. He's very good at fullback. Just the attacking upside all around the footy. Doesn't have quite the work rate of Tedesco and co, but he does get his hands on the footy. He loves sniffing around the ruck, so I do like the Brimson one. The rest of these guys, Tessie New, Nick Meaney, way too expensive. Latrell Miller, so he's in my team at the moment in centre wing, and I still stand by that. He's obviously going to the Knights. They haven't updated it yet, but he is tipped to be the fullback. And if he does get that fullback spot and they do persist with the Ponga 5'8" role, I do think Miller is a really good option at centre wing. I think I don't usually like to go a really top range centre wing option, and he's not quite because of the price increase. Like a lot of the, I think Holmes is like 700, 800k, somewhere around there. A couple other guys, that's 700k mark. So Miller's just a little bit less than the top line, but I still think his base work rate, his base stats are going to be around 45, 50, and then you throw on the upside of playing fullback. Surely he's going to be involved in some attacking options with Ponga and Hastings. I think it could be a nice little combo. So I like the Miller centre wing pickup, and at the moment I'm keen on it. It's just, it is, I don't know, there's just something about spending big in the centre wing, because at the end of the day, you could just go like a 200k cheapie. If Paul Olamide gets selected, right, I'll probably have him in the team regardless, but, you could just go Olamide or a Hayes Dunster for 200 odd K, and they could score as much. They could just jag a few tries in the opening month, and they're going to score more. So it's like, man, do you just not risk the money, just go with a cheap guy, hope they get a few attacking stats, and it just pays dividends. So that's I'm always tempted just to go cheap guys in the center wing, spend the money elsewhere that you're sort of more guaranteed for higher points, because the center wing are just such a hit or miss. They could, someone like an Alex Johnston is really expensive, and if you keep him for the whole season, then yeah, he could still average that high mark. But the opening month, he could get no tries and be an absolute stinker for you. So it's always a throw at the dartboard for the center wing. But in saying that though, that's the reason that it's nice going a fullback, because Miller is going to take those 20 runs a game and get 45 points regardless. So yeah, there's that as well. And then the big one here, Tom Trbojevic at 577k. Now, there's obviously there's a lot of uncertainty about his start to the year. I haven't really heard too much about how his hemi's going, but it comes down to this. Simply for me, if Tom Trbojevic is named at fullback in round 1, then he's straight in my team. I think it's a no-brainer that he would be in people's team if he's starting. If he doesn't get named for round 1, then obviously he's not going to be in, because they have the bye in round 2, and then you wouldn't even know if he's going to play round 3, 4. So, just if he's not fit for round 1, then who knows how long they would keep him out for. But if he's fit for round 1, and he's selected, oh boy, he's straight in my damn team. At 570k, it's not even a risk. Obviously, it's going to be, if he does, and I don't play the game like that. Obviously, last year, he was 1.2 million, so the price obviously kept me out. But you don't, I wouldn't look at it okay, I'm picking him, but what if he gets injured in the opening 10 minutes? Any player can get injured. Obviously, Tom is a bit of a higher exception, I guess, because he does have some faulty hemis and stuff. But at 570, it's just such a no-brainer to me. But it all depends. He just all depends on if he's named and if he plays in round 1. That's all it comes down to. If he plays and he gets injured, well, shit, that's what happens. That's what can happen. And I don't know what I'd do. Maybe if I did go Tom Trbojevic, I might try to keep a little bit of money free, so I can potentially upgrade him to a better guy. But we'll have a look at some other cheaper options, because we got Jaden Campbell, obviously a no-go because he's got the. I was gonna talk him up, but no, he's on the bench. So Campbell, I'll say this: Campbell is he's a wait and see, because hopefully he gets like a few minutes every game and his price just absolutely plummets. And then I still think that Tanner Boyd is not going to last at 7. So Campbell will probably regain the fullback spot. So in, I don't know, a few weeks, couple of months maybe, just keep an eye on Campbell. and I would be looking, well, it's tough though, because he's only fullback. So you'd have to get rid of one of the other gun fullbacks. Yeah, that makes it a little bit tricky, unfortunately. You're probably not going to want to trade a Tedesco or a Trbojevic if he's going, or a Latrell Mitchell. So yeah, bit of a shame there, unfortunately. You probably can't really use it as a cash cow, or if someone like depending what happens, depending how many trades. I think there are a couple more trades this year as well, so maybe you could play around with it depending what happens. Reece Walsh, I wouldn't be going. I actually think Walsh is going to have a good year at the Broncos, but yeah, I just think there's better options. Kalen Ponga, I'm honestly somewhat keen on Ponga as well. Like, if Tom Trbojevic did get injured early, then Ponga I think would be the obvious downgrade, slight downgrade option to bring in. I don't know. I actually think he's going to do pretty well at 5'8". It is a bit, I got to be honest, it's weird that they don't have him as a fullback 5'8" dual, because like they confirmed that he's going to play 5'8". Like, they confirmed it ages ago. I don't know why they wouldn't have him as a dual 5'8", but it is what it is. But I don't know. I can see Ponga doing well this time, because he's got a better spine around him this time. I think Hastings and Ponga could form a good little combo there. So I'm tipping a Ponga resurgence for sure. And then any other guys of note? Not really. I'll talk about like a few of these guys. I'll talk about in the center wing as well. Like someone like Cody Ramsey, unfortunately, doesn't look like... I don't know what's going on there, but I don't think he's going to be back, unfortunately. Someone like Jermaine Asako, we'll talk more about him in the centre wing, because you're not going to pick up Asako in fullback. You're going to... If he jags the fullback spot, you'd pick him up in centre wing. A few of these other guys, Charlie Staines, Jake... No, not Averillo. Absolutely not. He's only fullback. Fido as well, Chans, Nick Clockstar, Tyrell Sloan's actually made it into my team. I sort of forgot about him because it seems like he's going to get the fullback spot again this year after Cody Ramsey with all these health issues at the moment. And at 300k centre wing fullback, I think Sloan has a lot of potential and could be his breakout year. We'll see. Or they could go Mose Mbai. They could actually. It seems like Mbai will play 5'8" because of the fucking Amone shit going on as well. So yeah, there's that. Iro for the Sharkies probably doesn't see much game time, but he's a good player. Then we get into I think there's a few cheapies, but again, the fullback, you're not going a cheapie. So if there's anyone jumps out, maybe, but you're not going to go a cheapie at fullback. you just don't do it. But is any guys centre wing? Nah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, these guys, the centre wing fullbacks, I'll talk more about in the centre wing discussion. But for me, Tedesco is a lock in. If Tom Trbojevic plays round 1, he's straight into my team, no questions asked. If he doesn't, then I'll either take a punt on Brimson, but more likely I will just try to free up enough cash to get in Latrell Mitchell, because I think Mitchell is going to be... I think it's going to be Tedesco and Mitchell, number 1 and number 2 fullbacks, depending on fitness. Like, if Papenhausen is able to play most of the season, if Turbo's able to play most of the season, then they're probably the top 4, and just depending how many games they play. But yeah, that's sort of my thinking. Drinkwater, again, if you want to go a bit bold, the Cowboys have a really good draw, so it wouldn't be the worst. And then anyone else of note other than that, I mean, again, I think Ponga, if you wanted to save a lot of money, I mean, I'm sort of, do I take the gamble? It comes, if Tom Trbojevic doesn't play, maybe I take the gamble on Ponga and save money trying to go up to Mitchell, who should be goal kicking. But again, I guess Ponga's got some injury concerns as well, so it's a gamble. I like either way, the injury and playing at 5'8". So I don't know. I don't think I've got the guts to do it. but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, none of these other guys really jump out at me. You know, Dane Laurie, definitely not. Xavier Savage, no. Like, Savage might have the odd game where he scores a couple of tries, but he's not... I don't think Savage is ever going to be really Supercoach relevant, regardless of how well he plays. Will Kennedy... I mean, honestly, Kennedy, with the Sharks having a pretty good draw as well to start... Sneaky option, but no, I would just rather take the punt on like a Ponga than a Kennedy. But yeah, that's the fullback discussion done and dusted. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the Supercoach previews. Make sure to like and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.